Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraftsman Samuel Emsley. We warmly welcome representatives from the 1st Recruit Training Unit from the Royal Australian Air Force Base in Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. If you're able, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to driver Christian Freeman Hansen, Christian Hansen was born on the 21st of November 1895 in the Victorian seaside town of Queenscliff. He was the son of the boat builder Andrew Hansen and his wife Sarah. Christian attended the local state school before joining his father in the boat building trade as a carpenter and clerk. He was also a member of the Queenscliff Citizen Forces. Christian enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 12th of July 1915 with his parents' consent. Christian was allotted to the 5th Field Company of the Australian Engineers with the rank of sapper. After 4 months of initial training, sapper Christian Hansen departed Melbourne in HMAT Ceramic on the 24th of November 1915, bound for Egypt. At Port Said, his unit spent the next 3 months working on the 5th Brigade line at Ferry Post outside Serapeum. The engineers worked on construction, mapping, surveying, tunnelling and mining operations, and maintenance of routes and lines. The 5th Field Company left Egypt in March 1916, arriving at Marseille in southern France a week later. They spent the next few months working behind the lines around Armentières, an area of the front known as the nursery sector due to its relatively quiet introduction to life on the Western Front. Christian was briefly hospitalised in June 1916 after his toe was crushed, but returned to the 5th Field Company as they prepared to briefly move into Belgium at the end of June. The company spent most of July in the Somme Valley. In late July, Christian was evacuated to hospital, suffering from the effects of gas poisoning. His condition failed to improve, and he was evacuated to England on the 24th of August. Christian remained in England until late December, returning to France on Christmas Day 1916. He rejoined the 5th Field Company in the Somme Valley in early January 1917. The company spent the first half of 1917 in the Somme Valley, working on roads, camps, and reserve and support lines. In July, the engineers travelled north, moving into Belgium at the end of September. During this period, Christian was remustered as a driver with the 5th Field Company. Over the winter of 1917 to 1918, Christian took 2 periods of leave, to England for the last 2 weeks of December, and then to Paris for the 10 days in February. Returning to the engineers at the end of February, Christian was charged with overstaying his leave by 24 hours and sentenced to 7 days field punishment number 2. In April, the 5th Field Company joined the rest of the 5th Division in moving south into the Somme Valley to counter the German Spring Offensive. They remained in the region until the armistice on the 11th of November 1918. With the fighting over, Christian left the Field Company and travelled to Rome on leave. His leave was cut short in late November when he began showing symptoms of influenza. Spanish flu, influenza had spread among troops from March 1918 onwards, but by November entered a deadly second wave. Many soldiers were struck down with the disease as they celebrated the end of the war, including driver Christian Hansen. Christian travelled back to Paris, where he was admitted to the station hospital with a high fever on the 2nd of December. Driver Christian Freeman Hansen died of influenza in Paris on the 7th of December 1918. He was 23 years old. Christian's remains were buried in the City of Paris cemetery beneath the words inscribed on his Imperial War Grave headstone, "We cherish fond memories of a loving son and brother." His name is also listed on the honour roll on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember driver Christian Freeman Hansen, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If you're able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bain. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.